or plants, to get them into the same room together at least once a year to talk about the plant sciences at University of Michigan and beyond. And so these are researchers that work on a range of topics, whether it's form, function, ecology, evolution, et cetera. So we have about 50 faculty that fall underneath Green Life Science broadly from a variety of departments here within the College of LS&A. We also have faculty from units outside of LS&A. And if you are a researcher that works on Green Life here at University of Michigan, we have a lot of different support facilities for our work, such as the Mathai Botanical Gardens and Nichols Arboretum, the University Herbarium, the Edwin George Reserve, Camp Davis, Stinchfield Woods and Saginaw Forest, and of course the UN Biological Station. So the Green Life Sciences Initiative really is the brainchild of Yinlong Q, also known as YQ from the EEB department. He developed this theme and he ran the first Green Life Sciences Symposium last year. He asked me if I would be willing to run the one this year, and I said yes, as long as I could do it exactly as I wanted to, and so here we are. So the first thing that I did was form a committee, and here's the committee, the 2018 Green Life Sciences Organizing Committee. We've got Cora McAllister, Jillian Myers, David Mitchner, Bob Greasy, Selena Smith, and myself. So the committee and I sat down and decided to come up with a theme for this year's Green Life Science Symposium, and we decided on plant-environment interactions across scales. So we chose this topic because plants interact with a variety of different community members, whether they're pollinators or herbivores, and they also interact with or are exposed to a lot of different abiotic stressors. And so what we wanted to do was to get people in a room that think about plant interactions, but do so at very different scales of study, whether it's molecular geneticist or ecophysiologist or paleobiologist, just to get all these people in the room and to stimulate crosstalk and collaboration. So our overall goal of this conference is to stimulate new collaborations and novel takes on overlapping phenomena that are studied across scales. So within this main theme, we have a few sub-themes. Our sub-themes are 1, living together, plant-microbe symbioses, stressful interactions, plant adaptation to abiotic and biotic stressors, interactions affecting plant reproduction, how to get and stay in shape, plant-environment interactions on geological timescales. So this is the schedule for the next couple of days, so what we're all going to be taking part of. So we've got on Thursday today, after the introduction, we're going to have Dr. Beronda Montgomery, who is a distinguished professor at MSU, will be giving a keynote talk. At 9:15, we're going to start the plant microbe symbioses session. 10:30, we're going to have a coffee break. At 11, we'll have the stressful interactions session. At 12:30, we're going to have lunch. We'll pick back up at 2:30 with our plant reproduction session. And then at 4 p.m., we're going to have our second keynote lecture by Dr. Annie Schmidt, who's a distinguished professor from UC Davis. At 5:30, or then at 5:15 and 5:30, we're going to get on buses and be bussed over to the Mathai Botanical Gardens, where we're going to have our poster session. The poster session is open to the public and to anyone who wants to come. Then at 7, we're going to have a dinner. The dinner is restricted to the presenters, the poster presenters, the talk presenters, and speed talk presenters. And then tomorrow, Friday, we're going to pick back up. Let's see if I can get the screen to work again. Okay. All right, so I think I'm working now without slides. Okay. Hello, AV person. Oh, the projector stopped. Okay, so the projector stopped, so I'll just talk us through this. So this is fun. Okay, it seems like the projector's back on. Okay, so tomorrow at 8:30, we're going to have a special seminar given to us by Dr. Deborah Goldberg, who's a distinguished professor here in the UMich EEB department. After that, we're going to have our shape session, how to get and stay in shape, at 9:15. Then at 10:30, we'll have a coffee break. At 11, we'll pick back up with plant-environment interactions on geological timescales, and at 12:30 we'll have a lunch. 2:30 we'll pick back up with speed talks, and then at 4 we're going to have a career panel. Let's see if this is going to come back on. I don't think so. Okay, so let's pause that for 1 second if we could take. Did the projector just die?
No, something happened with your laptop and dongle, which is really, here we go. Why am I not seeing the laptop anymore? This is
Okay.
it's not seeing the laptop.
Okay. What happened? It's just not seeing the laptop. Okay. Where's this? All right, let's try this computer.
There it is. There we go.
Okay, so we're going to pick back up on this laptop, and we'll figure this out as we go along. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to have a special seminar from Deborah Goldberg at 8:30 in the morning. Then we're going to have our SHAPE session at 9:15. We'll have a coffee break at 10:30. Our plant environment interactions on geological timescales at 11. 12:30 lunch. Our speed talks at 2:30. We've got about 18 different speed talks. Each scientist gets about 5 minutes, and we have a range of scientists from undergraduates to graduates to postdocs to faculty. So I'm really excited about that. After that, we're going to have a career panel where we have an industry representative, someone from Bayer. We've got local businesses. We also have people from teaching colleges. So we're going to have a lot of different people for our students to talk to about careers in the life sciences. Okay, so now we have another sub-theme of this conference that the committee and I decided on when we met. This sub-theme was motivated by this tweet from Carolina Hayduke back in 2016. She says, "So this seems like a gender-balanced lineup of speakers, 0 out of 10 women. Keynote's not much better, 4 out of 30, IBC 2017. And what she was referring to was this lineup from the International Botanical Congress in the summer of 2017. This was the plenary list for plant biology for the Botanical Congress. And so when she tweeted that, Twitter had a response, basically, which is something that we all felt, right? And so there was a bit of Twitter discussion, as you can imagine, about this. And afterwards, there were a couple of distinguished female professors that were added to the lineup. So I'm bringing this up not to pick on the International Botanical Congress, because this happens across a lot of different symposia, a lot of different fields where men are given experiences and plenary lectures that distinguished women professors perhaps are not. This happens so often, in fact, that Jonathan Eisen, a professor at UC Davis, has developed this acronym called YAM, Yet Another Mostly Male Meeting, where he discusses this on social media. Additionally, there's even a Tumblr about this phenomenon called Congrats, You Have an All-Male Panel. And so this happens not just at the Botanical Congress, but across a lot of different symposia and conferences. And it's a problem for me, though, because as a member of plant sciences, this has not been my experience of having mostly men interacting with in my career. This has been more of my experience, right? So from pioneers to the present day, a lot of the people that I've interacted with in the plant sciences have been women, whether associate editors, reviewers, collaborators, et cetera. And I think the example that I'm giving to you from the International Botanical Congress is a really concrete example of a situation where women are not given the opportunities that men are. And this is summarized really well by a quote that I'm paraphrasing from Dr. Mark Schleissel, who's the president of the University of Michigan. He says, "Talent is evenly distributed in society at present, but opportunity is not." Okay, so the committee and I got together and we thought, could we create something different? Could we do something different? Could we have a predominantly female speaker list? Could we invite people to give talks thinking about representation of women and representation of minority scientists? Is it even possible? So we went out to the advanced office on campus and we applied for extra funding, as well as the diversity, equity, and inclusion office on campus. And they gave us this funding to put on this symposium. And I think that you can see the outcome of this is that, in fact, we have created something different from an all-male panel. So with that in mind, now that we're thinking about these themes of gender inequality and minority representation, I want to take a few minutes to think a little bit more deeply about this. So my colleague in the EEB department, Meg Duffy, recently spoke at the March for Science, where she said science will progress further and faster if participation is broad, with people from all backgrounds able to contribute their ideas and talents to science. So with that in mind, I want to think through a few topics and questions that can get our minds primed for thinking about how we can make sure that science is well represented by both women as well as minority scientists. So first, I like to think about what can I do? And what can I do as a white woman academic? Well, I go into a room in academia and I look around and I wonder, where are our minority faculty? Where are our Black faculty, Hispanic faculty, and Indigenous faculty? What are we doing to support disabled scientists? What are we doing to support LGBTQ scientists? If you're a man or an ally in the science, what can men and allies do? So there's a lot here that can be done. So if you are invited to give a seminar during a conference series or during some kind of symposium, you can ask about gender representation. You can ask about the representation of minority faculty. And if the representation is not great, you can always give up your space to one of your female or minority colleagues. What about collaboration? If you're a man, do you always collaborate with the same men? Or are you perhaps collaborating with women that might be more appropriate to the subject at hand? If you're a man and you're submitting a journal article, do you suggest women reviewers? Do you suggest women associate editors? There are a lot of different things that we can do, that we can think about just in our own lives, that change examples of gender disparity, as well as disparity towards minority scientists. Okay, so with that in mind, those are kind of global thoughts. What can we do during this symposium? What can we think about? We're here for the next couple of days. We're going to be interacting with one another. We're going to be talking to one another. What kind of environment can we create for ourselves from this symposium? Well, I found this quote that I really liked from Isabelle Olivieri, who recently passed away. She was talking about an experience of working with majority women researchers. She says, "This is our experience of research. As female scientists at various stages of their career, we feel very lucky having worked in an environment where cooperation was always valued above competition and where friendship was intricately mixed with high intellectual stimulation." So when I think about what kind of environment I would like to build in the plant sciences more globally and here at this symposium, I think an environment where friendship is intricately mixed with high intellectual stimulation is a pretty good idea. Additionally, let's think about, I think we know that this GIF is pretty trite at this point. We've all seen it. But I think this really comes across what I would like to see built in the plant sciences for women, minority, and other researchers. So there are a couple of other things that I would like you to think about during this symposium and beyond. First, now that you're here, network with people, talk to people that you don't know. Pay attention to each other's work. So you're going to be learning about a lot of people's science during this symposium. After you learn about this science, go home to your institutions, use the science that you see from the symposium as a teaching tool, send it to your colleagues, etc. Spread the word about the work that you hear here. Collaborations. It would be wonderful if we could form collaborations stemming from the time that we're spending together over this couple of days, especially people that work on very opposite ends of the spectrum when we're thinking about plant interactions. Mentoring is a really important thing, so think about developing mentoring relationships while you're here, not just someone that is further along with you, further along than you, but also think about developing lateral mentoring networks. Think about the concept of pay it forward, pay it backward. So if someone has helped you, say, critically review one of your grants or your papers, when people come along after you in their career, be sure to pay it forward to them. But also let's pay it backward. So the example that I gave of the Botanical Congress where we didn't have distinguished female presenters, that should be a really good indicator to you that our distinguished female professors are not getting the same opportunities that male distinguished professors are. So let's always keep them in our thoughts and pay it backwards. Ignore the haters. So as a woman scientist, as minority scientist, you're going to deal with some rudeness and some disrespect within your career. To the extent to which you can, I suggest that you ignore the haters and move forward. Also, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, give yourself a break. This is hard work, being a woman or minority scientist in our fields. Also, take breaks when needed. Everyone needs to take breaks and recoup. Okay, so with those big thoughts in mind about what we can do to build a good environment for ourselves and for one another, I want to do two more things. One is I want to thank our funders, and two, I want to have a little bit of audience participation. Okay, so first I want to thank the UMich Advance Office for the Elizabeth Crosby Award, the UMich Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office, the EEB and MCDB departments, the Mathai Botanical Gardens, PITE and SEAS, other departments that have supported us, and as well our helpers for this conference, Sarah Collum, Sonal Gupta, Nia Johnson, Elliot Jackson, and Carol Solomon, as well as the EEB graduate students who have hosted some of our students who are visiting and have given us help with lunch recommendations. Okay, so now it's time for the audience participation, right? So I know all the introverts in the room are like, why are you doing this to me? But I would like it if everyone would stand up and turn to someone beside them that they don't know and just say hello, it's nice to meet you, and I look forward to talking to you.